Let's continue working on our submodular library system and write the first lines on the build.gradle file. Hello everyone, this is Agireza. Welcome to the Mentor Code Lab. In previous episode, we had covered the settings.gradle and gradle.properties. I forgot to clean the source folder. As you see, we don't have any Java folder under the main. We just have the resources, assets, then the name of the library, then the icon. On FMJ or fabric mod JSON, we removed the entries, the mixins, everything else, cleaned it up. I started using the mentor as my author's name. I was using Jiraiya before. Anyway, we have this section. If you recall, in the library system, I showed you that we can use the publishing task to use the variables and replace them, because I hate coming back here and changing it every time I change the Minecraft updating version. Sometimes I forgot this and it hits me back because, let's face it, the mod loader will yell at you that it's not compatible with something. So it's a good thing to keep it automatic, but right now we don't have that functionality in build.gradle, so I will not add it yet, just so that I don't forget to do that. Other than that, we can start with build.gradle. Now, the first section on any build.gradle is the plugins section. This section tells the system that, hey, I want some Gradle plugins that will be used everywhere in this build. The first one is using the ID of Java-library. Now, Java-library means that we want to set our sources, compilation, and anything else like adding API implementations based on Java language. You always have this in every project that you write in Java. Then we have something else, ID Eclipse. Now, ID Eclipse means that we want to add tasks for the Eclipse IDE. We are working in IntelliJ. However, someone may clone my repository and start working on it in Eclipse. So we have to cover that one up. Let me copy paste them line by line so that I won't have any typos here and there. The next one is Maven Publish. It's self-explanatory. We want to publish things on Maven, so we need to have access to that ability using the POMs, using the artifacts, etc. Here is the important part. Fabric Loom version 1.11.7 apply false. It declares that the Fabric Loom plugin that we are using is the 1.11.7 version. And the false here means that we are declaring it here, but we are not applying it to the root project automatically, but it will be applied to sub-projects later when we need. The main project will not be applied automatically. It will be applied to the sub-projects. Here is a thing. .7, if we take a look at here, we never used a Fabric Loom version like this. In our mods, if I go here and open the build.gradle, oh, they started using it like this. Okay. And by the way, this is the template that is generated by the Fabric website itself. And I was wondering, why did I saw that Loom version? Cool. They finally done it. Wow. Okay. Loom version 1.11.snapshot. I wanted to show you this. Normally, we use snapshots here, not a dedicated version. So now that they are kindly letting us having this thing here, I will happily add it here. $Loom version. And if you notice, they have done it inside the plugin sections of the template. So we can do it here. This means that, again, we can come back to greater properties, just change it here, and everything will work happily ever after. Okay, now that we have the version taken care of, the next thing is coming from another plugin that is called Spotless. Now, Spotless is a plugin that we can use and assign settings to it so that at build time, it will clean our source file based on some criteria that we will give it later in our build.gradle. For example, change the line ending to Unix code so everyone is happy. Or for example, if we are working with a Java file, insert that header file. Remember we had it here, header file. Insert it into the code, remove unused imports, change the order of the imports on the files, change the leading spaces to be tabs, trim the trailing white spaces, things like that, okay? And we can also work on JSON files, especially for the language files, to do things there. Remember, we have a style XAML file. That's a totally different thing. It uses another plugin for checking the style and changing the style, okay? Now, Fabric API is using two more plugins, and this is where things become a little bit important. One of them is for publication. That's okay. We can use that one to publish to Modrins, for example, or CurseForge, or even GitHub itself. The other one is for remote signing things. This will sign the jars for us. Now, the thing is that to signing a jar, you need to have an API key and maybe a password. Without them, you won't be able to sign your jar, because if I find that section for you, we can simply search for the keyword sign. Okay, as you see, remote sign is requesting a URL, that's a signing server, and then the authentication key, okay, for PGP, and then the jar. So two authentication keys. Without these keys, we won't be able to sign the jar. Also, signing a jar is more like showing a good faith gesture. You know, there are tons of libraries out there that people are using, like the Energy API or even the PAL Player Ability Library. And I'm not sure if they ever sign their jar when they are publishing it to Maven. Anyway, if we want to do that, we need to find Modmoose and ask him how we can use it and if they will let us using his API or not. If we want to, let's Google that plugin, Modmoose 50 remote sign, and see if Google shows us anything or not. And I'm checking it on the second monitor. All I'm seeing there is a Maven repository for me.modmoose50.remote sign. The most important thing is that without Modmoose guidance, we will not be able to sign any jar file. And honestly, I don't care about it right now because I don't have any production ready library. You know, if at any point in the future I will have a production ready library, then yes, I may want to contact him and ask if I can remote sign my library using his plugin or not. But right now, it's not needed. I will comment it out, but I will keep it there as a reminder. And then we will have a few different things. Let me check the clock. Yes, we have time for that. So let's copy paste it out of the plugins block. So the plugins thing is finished. We have this def branch provider equals to providers of git branch value source.class. Okay, let's stop right here. What we are doing, we are using the git to retrieve the values of branches here. Okay, because we want to define the version variable for ourselves. Normally in simple mods, the version equals to mod version, something like that. However, here as you see, it says project version plus. Okay, and it stops there because he wants to see if he is inside an environment that has the CI variable or not. If it has it, then it will simply replace the forward slash with underline, and that would be the branch name. Okay, otherwise it will add the local. So for example, project version, remember, right now is 1.0.0. So what we will get is something like this, 1.0.0. And if it's a CI version, let's say it's not a CI version first, then we have this plus local, okay? And it's a metadata after the versioning. However, before that, we want to have things here. So I will have MC, okay? And then I will add a plus. Actually, I can use it like this because if you recall, our original name is this MC dash, the version of the Minecraft, and I want that here. So we say MC dash, and instead of Loom version, I want this Minecraft version, and I will get it there. Okay. Now, at the end, if we are inside any online providing environment, CI, and I will talk about CI later in few minutes, then we will have the branch name. If we are not inside any online providing environment, then we will have a plus and local. So now our versioning became like this, plus MC-1.21.10, for example. And then at the end, we will have that plus local. And remember, after the first plus, anything can happen. Now, here's a question. What is CI? Let's say that we have a GitHub task. This GitHub task is responsible of building our mod. Okay, so it will run the build task. In that scenario, there is an environment variable on the GitHub that will be true, and it's called CI. However, normally on our operating system, we won't have that environment variable. So normally we will be local. Here's a question. What if I want to handle things with GitHub branch name in the versioning name, then I'm building on my local hard drive? There is an alternative alternative way to remove this question mark first and then have just this one, but it is a hard-coded thing. So we want to have a little bit of flexibility here and there. So I will come back here and I will say CI with lower letters equals to true. Okay, so I have this CI name here. And then before this even branches on top, I will add something that was not there. Actually, let's add it there. We say diff or define is CI equals to providers. So basically what we are doing is taking this section and dot present. So we are checking if we are in the proper environment with the CI environmental variable. If not, we want to check if the project dot has property and the property is called CI. Now remember, if we want to have that local name, setting it to false will not work. What will work is commenting it out. Okay, that's one thing to remember. Here we were getting the branch directly and replacing everything. We will do this. We will check. We will first add a parenthesis here from the start to the end. So this whole thing is happening in one parenthesis. The first thing is CI, then do something otherwise local. But we will get this part out of the equation. And I want to introduce my first function, and I will call get branch safe. Now remember, because we changed the logic, we may be in the situation that we may not be able to safely read that branch name. In those cases, we want to handle things a little bit different. So we will say here we define our get branch safe task. However, this is not a Gradle task. This is more like a private method for ourselves. So we assign a curly brace there and we use a try catch. So try catch the exception, we call it E. Inside the try, we say return the branch provider dot get and then dot replace the forward slash with the underline. So what we had before. However, here we say logger dot warn, use a warning. We say could not determine git branch for CI suffix, and then finally we say E dot message, and here we need a plus sign. And after that we return something. This something will be unknown. This means that hey, we encountered a problem and we can't find our way around the branches so that we can read anything properly. So now we read the branch name if possible. If not, it will be unknown. If we have the CI variable, if we don't have the CI variable in total, then we have the local name at the end. Finally, we will log something for the life cycle of the process, and that is building fabric. Now we say building glibs with the version so that we know what is the version. Now I assume that we can test this thing out. Let's just comment everything because we don't have any children right now. There we go. We don't have that file. So I wonder what will happen if I try to sync the Gradle right now. My hope is that I will see glibs on top without any tasks, if it can. But before that, let's see what we will get here. It's downloading the plugins, of course, for the Spotless, and then I think the rest, maybe the publish plugin, because the rest were being downloaded before. Of course, the Spotless now needs something else. So we are just downloading a bunch of plugins here. Okay, we have one error, and I think this is a serious problem. It says could not get unknown property git branch value source for root project glibs. Let's add a commit to our git. So let's go to commits and let's say initial commit working on build.gradle. Commit and push origin main push. Okay, now if we refresh this thing here, we see that now we have our glibs and some files here with the commit that says initial commit. Okay, if I resync the Gradle now, we get the same error that says providers.environment variable CI here actually git branch value source.class. Now what is the problem here? The problem is that git branch value source is something that needs to be imported. However, we need to import it after this block and few other blocks later. So let's start adding those few things. First, as I said, we have two projects here as BOM and catalog that are called metadata project. We call them meta projects. We define them. Now, here we will want the glibs BOM and glibs catalog. This is a variable definition. We are not using it right now. but we want to define these variables before moving forward. Then the Fabric API is actually defining another array of variables that says debug args. These are debug arguments that can be added to different sub-projects and the tasks that they have automatically. So here, for example, they are enabling assertion and they say debug verify on the mixin for true and count injections to true, but they commented out the strict mode for the mixin. Now we will have few imports. Remember, we are using a JSON slurper because we want to read the JSON files, then the digest utils, the commit hash value source, and here we go, git branch value source, then the HTTP client request and response. These will be used to check if the Maven on the Maven repository is already contained in the current versioning or not. If we have the current version, then we wouldn't publish to Maven, we will error out. We will see these things later. The git branch value, as you saw, we'll try to retrieve the git branch name. Commit hash value source will create a hash code for us, and digest utils computes a SHA 256 snippet for whatever reason we need that. And these are a bunch of importing of already existing plugins. So now I imported this thing. It may work now. Let's take a look. Now we go for line 41 that says commit hash value source is not present. Let's remove this apply false for time being. Let's check if it will solve anything or not. No. Okay, let's start by committing the problematic thing. As you see, this one became purple. I hope that it's working now. And we went already to line 41. Okay, line 42. It's again unable to resolve. Okay, what's going on here? It looks like we should have some classes from Fabric available for us, but it's not there. Let's take a look. If I comment these two lines, and of course I will have errors here, but I shouldn't have any errors down below. And yes, we go back to line 13 because git branch value source is not here. Now, the thing is that there is a folder in the Fabric API project that I overlooked, and it's really important, and that is build src. And then under Gradle, we have few files here. Now, normally under Gradle folder that is being provided by the mod template generator, you only have the wrapper. But here you see that under the Gradle folder, we have a focus.java, Java docs access widener, okay, module validation, module versioning, package info, validate annotations. So we will have different things here and there, but on top we have this build src, and under that you see this structure, source main Java net fabric MC fabric implementation build, and then you have abstract git value sources, commit hash value source, and git branch value source. Now if I open this one, for example, it's really small. However, it's under a special package, and this is related to Fabric developers. So normally we shouldn't change that hierarchy. From Fabric folder, I will come and get this build src, copy it, move to my project on top, paste it, and yes, keep it there. So this is build src, build.gradle. We'll take a look at that later. It's nothing crazy. But then under source main Java net fabric MC fabric implementation build, we have them. So if I sync the Gradle now, it will start downloading spotless. And remember, this build.gradle was not being loaded inside anywhere else. Let's hope not. No, it's not being included anywhere else. Maybe in settings. Let's see. All of these start with fabric dash deprecated. So yes, the build src is not being included in our mod. Basically, it's a very special folder that tells the system that, hey, we will add something related to build time and not the project itself, and not the final product. So as you saw, it's built successfully. Now, what do we have on top? Right now, without including any project, we have glibs, build src, the bomb, the catalog. Now, these, although I said that they are empty and the folder is actually empty, you see that we have tasks. Now, we will fix this, but the build src now has build, verification, other help documentation, and build setup. The build verification has this check, and under the tasks for the main library, we have again verification check. The reason I'm emphasizing it is that later we will bind different tasks to this check. Okay, now this is the minimum structure that we have, and we didn't have any errors anymore. Now here's the question: what will happen if I rename this file to be focus.txt? And remember, here we are saying we want to see the core, and I will resync the Gradle. First of all, our log here says building glibs, and we see building glibs unspecified. That's project version unspecified plus mc-1.21.10 main. Now I want to add a dash there between the number of Minecraft version and the main for the branch. However, this unspecified project.properties, actually project.version, it's not defined yet. Now the problem is that inside our gradle.properties, we call this one glibs-version. Let's keep it as version and let's resync. And as you see, now it's working. 1.0.0 plus mc-blah-main. So we need to keep this one as version because that's what we are calling it here. And the rest is history. Now, I'm not gonna dive into this build src in this video. Sufficient to say that, remember, we need to add more files from the Gradle folder under the root to our Gradle folder. So I will just copy paste them, but later in the next videos, actually, we will start with build src, then Gradle folder, and we will take a look at all these files that we had added right now, understand them, and then we will come back and continue our build.gradle. Right now, we have a system that shows us the versioning property. If we want to, we can come back here, and if I hashtag this CI and resync the Gradle, you will see that instead of the name of the branch, I will get -local. That's a good thing. I will close the video here, and in the next video, I will start from the build src, its build.gradle. Have fun, everyone. Bye.